Hey, everybody, what is going on? Serial Overdrive here, and today we're talking about the console edition of Rust and why it could die in 2024. I'm not even being hyperbolic here. The console edition Rust is coming on some tough times, and we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking about everything that led up to this. We're going to talk about how community servers sort of sealed the coffin and how a lot of you are just banging on it right now, and not in a good way. Is there a good way you can do that? Anyways, let's get into it. Let's start talking about the console edition Rust. So here's what happened. I've been gone for a bit. I disconnected from the community. I went traveling. I did my thing. I took another vacation. That's what I do. I take a lot of vacations because I'm a lazy bum. But I got back from that vacation and I'm like, boy, what should I do? I should make a video. So let's start talking about this. So yeah, I got back and I was looking into it. I wanted to see what the hype was for the console edition Rust. I checked YouTube. I checked Twitter. I checked the Discord. And there's military tunnels coming. Like, that's pretty good. I knew that was coming. But the thing that sort of shocked me was there really wasn't that much hype for it. Military tunnels is a pretty cool update. It's a pretty big update. They're adding new guns. There's supposed to be like some night vision components. They've got underwater labs coming later on in the year. And then they've got a mysterious update that's coming. There's 3 big updates that are dropping. That's pretty big. Like getting 2 new monuments, maybe a 3rd new monument. That's a bit. But like, there's no hype around it. All I see around it is people complaining, and I feel like people don't understand why they're complaining. But the hype's just died around the game. Like there used to be some hype, right? There was always people complaining. There were always people complaining, but there were usually people pushing back. And the thing they were saying is wait until community servers. Wait until they hit. This is going to fix the game. This is going to solve everything. And I think what happened is community servers dropped and didn't solve anything. In fact, my community server mysteriously wiped a couple days ago. I don't know why. I didn't touch anything, but it wiped. And then nobody joined the community server because who wants to join a server that randomly wipes? And a lot of other admins that I've talked to have had similar experiences. Not with the servers wiping, but sometimes they go down, they won't come up, players ditch. You got to be monitoring these things 24/7, and it turns out monitoring a community server 24/7 is not a good way to spend your life. It's not a good way to make money. It's not a good way to support yourself. It's not a good way to do anything, right? Like, at least if you're making a decent wage on it, there's people who can say, hey, this is my job. I'm working 8-10 hours a day, but I love what I'm doing. I'm willing to do this 7 days a week. I get to play Rust, have a good time, and make a little bit under minimum wage. But people aren't even doing that. That's just not happening. Like, there's just not enough money coming in. I've talked to some server owners, some very successful ones, and they might be pulling in a couple $100 a month, which sounds like a lot, but when you add in all the time that they're spending and their mods are spending and everyone like that, they're basically making like 50 cents an hour, which is, I mean, it's literally like pennies, right? Like 50 cents an hour, you can't even afford to drink Mountain Dew while you watch the server because your budget just got blown by it. It's like, seriously, it sounds like a lot to some people, but when you look at the work, it really isn't. And I'm going to be honest here. Like YouTube, it makes a little bit more like that, and then that, not a lot more, but like it's a labor of love, right? And it's a labor of love where I can actually just disconnect for 3 weeks and go. If you're a server owner and you're running a successful server, you disconnect for 3 weeks, you disconnect for 1 week. That server's going to die. There's going to be cheaters coming in. There's people using Zim, Zen. They're using the Cronus. They're using their D to aim. And if you're doing that, that's actually pretty impressive. If you're on my server and you're using your D to aim, I'm going to allow that. But the other 3, you're banned. But yeah, like, seriously, like, people are jumping in, cheating all the time. So even if you have a successful server, you are always on the verge of just one bad week of losing it, right? And people don't want to deal with that because players are jumping servers. There's not a ton of loyalty there. There's even on the PC version of Rust, on any game, right? There is not a ton of server loyalty. You need a good team to manage those servers, and it takes a lot of time to build up that team. And for a lot of people, it takes a lot of money. I've talked to some like serious I've talked to some serious PC Rust players, like not players, but like admins and stuff like that. There is a lot of time and a lot of money that goes into making any sort of event that works out or running any sort of like long-term server that works out. You know, when I say serious, I'm not talking like millions or anything like that, but like it's not hundreds of dollars a month. Let's put it that way. But yeah, it's just it is very, very hard for community servers to get off the ground when we're looking at this. It's like as a hobby, is something that you can maybe kick off a server and just let it sit in the background. You jump on every now and then and see if things are working, play out some monuments, get that PvE experience that you can get from community servers, and you'll be happy with that. You're paying $20 a month, not that bad of a deal. But if you want to run a successful server, it doesn't seem like a lot of those owners are happy. A, because G Portal keeps sort of screwing them over, and B, because it is a lot of work. And the last thing you want to do is put in a lot of work and then have the person that you're sort of doing that work for, that you're helping with that work, come and just kick you in the balls, because that really sucks. No one likes to get kicked in the balls, especially when they're paying for it. Well, some people do, but most of us are not those people. Anyways, though, that's part of the issue, right? The hype around community servers, it just dropped, right? Like, community servers dropped, and so did the hype, and there's just nothing that's come to replace it. Military tunnels is not going to replace the hype, because it's just another monument. We've been around for oil, we've been around for cargo, we've had new monuments drop. It's a lot of fun, but it doesn't revitalize the game. What revitalizes the game is something like electricity, and there's only a few things that can do that right now for the console edition Rust. I'm going to tell you what they are. Minicopters, maybe subways, a big expansion of sort of that RPG playability, or sorry, role-playing playability aspect of the game. So that would be like signs, bringing in more skins that you could use to skin buildings, bringing in some of those sort of like interactive items that you've got on the PC version Rust. And they can't even do that because of console limitations. Like, there's literally, like, Microsoft and PlayStation say, hey, you're going to have to watch things a little bit more carefully if you let people draw dicks on signs. So that's probably not going to happen. You're not going to get that role-playing aspect. So once you throw that out, you've really just got, like, mini-copters, maybe subways, maybe trains, maybe cars, and a few other things like that they could introduce that would really bring the life back into the game. But outside of that, I really just don't see anything. Maybe you could do larger maps. You could do more interactive maps. You could do some really cool stuff there. Like, you could take in some of these crazy maps that have been created for the PC and push them into the console, like some of those space maps and all that stuff. But there really isn't, like, that much further they can go with this, I feel like the console edition Rust has run its course. It's run a really nice course. 3 years for any game is pretty damn impressive, honestly. Like, you look at Call of Duty, those barely last, like, a couple months now. If you look at most games that are not, like, top 10 games, literally top 5 games, 3 years is a goddamn miracle. So hats off. If you're developing the console edition Rust and you made it this long, that's really good. But I don't think it's got them. I think the legs are getting a little too short right now, if you know what I'm saying. You know, that third leg's starting to scrape on the ground, and nobody likes that. But no, like, it's just one of those things. Like, community servers draft, that was what the hype was all about, and there's been nothing to replace it. When I go to the Discord, there's people talking, there's people, like, you know, they're having conversations, stuff like that, but there just isn't the hype that you had before. There's not the hate that you had before. That's good, but there's just not the hype. If you go to the Twitter, the X, whatever you want to call it, the Triple X site, the one that's not P-Hub, the one that Elon Musk decided to buy and lose a lot of money on, if you go over there, what you're going to find is the same thing. Like, they're getting less interactions. People are still enjoying the game. People are still commenting on it, but you don't have that hardcore player base, or you don't have as much of that hardcore player base anymore. You don't have people getting as upset about it, but you don't have people defending it. And then it's the same when you go to creators. There's a few creators that are killing it right now. There's a few creators blowing up. But what I found is new creators coming into the Rust console scene, when they blow up, they don't blow up as much. And the old creators who did blow up, they're losing views all over the place. There's a few exceptions to that, but, like, that's the thing. Like, I'm just not seeing, like, honestly, my channel, throw that out the window, because I'm a horrible person when it comes to running a YouTube channel. I disappear for a couple weeks and only push out 2-3 videos. That is not a good way to run a YouTube channel, but that's a great way to enjoy your life. But the truth of the matter is, the people who are doing consistent uploads, the people who are pushing it, they're still not getting those views that you used to get on that first year. Those first year views, they were pretty damn good, and I followed those creators. I was one of those creators. It was good time. The second year views, I sort of dropped off there a little bit, but, like, the people who were popping, they were getting it. They were getting it. It wasn't quite that first year, but it never is, right? That the first high is never as good as the second. By the time we get to the third year, there's a lot of people putting out some really quality content, some really good stuff. They've got editors, thumbnail designers. They've tried to create this whole, like, ecosystem around console edition Rust. They're doing it like it's a job. And it's not popping off like it would, like it should, in my opinion. And I think the interest just isn't there as much. Like, there's still a lot of people playing the game, but the truth of the matter is, there's just not as many hardcore players, and there's not as much hype. And that's sort of that first step in the game dying, if you will. They could revive it, you know, mini copters, cars, even something like submarines or just I don't know, there's a lot of stuff they could do to revive it. I think minicopters and cars are sort of the two big and obvious ones. But outside of that, outside of a big move, I don't think bringing in new monuments is going to do much. It's going to bring people back to the game for a couple weeks, and then everybody's going to bail. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Do you think Rust Console Edition 20? Do you think it's going to end in 2024? I sort of feel like it is because when I do go over to the Rust PC side of things and I look at how the community there is going, I see that same faltering. I see people faltering. Sort of, it feels like there's a bit of a stumble going on right now, and I think Face Punch can recover. They've been around for a while. The Rust Console Edition, Console Edition, Rust has been a huge game for over a decade right now. That team has staying power. The game has staying power. There's a lot of people who grew up playing this game, and they're going to keep playing this game. But the truth of the matter is, if this stumble continues, eventually it's going to die off too. And I think the console edition Rust is going to go a lot sooner, unless there's something that can revitalize the game. Maybe Rust 2.0. I don't know. Maybe Rust in space. Maybe even Rust underwater. Maybe Rust in my underwear. I don't know. But something's got to happen. Something's got to give. And if there isn't a big update, if there isn't a big thing, a big bang, I think the thing that gives is going to be the console edition Rust, and after that you might see the PC edition Rust. But we're still a couple of years out for that. I think console edition Rust will make it through 2024, but I feel like these last three updates, if they don't go well, if they don't get a big bump from them, 2025 is probably just going to be skins. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace.